Jimmy Butler, he's a very interesting player to me.
He's like, oh, shoot, I don't know where to go with the ball because I haven't been able to think.
It was a great series. Game 4 was one of the best games I've ever watched in my entire life. Now LeBron's a 4-time champion, and Anthony Davis gets his first.
It's unacceptable. So happy when the Astros lost because it would definitely be a 2020 thing.
Yeah, I was impressed by their game. Braden Point, Andre Palat, Nikita Kucherov, that was the best line in the playoffs, no doubt.
Stay undefeated when they face the mighty Cowboys with Garrett Gilbert.
Hey everyone, I'm Jared Sandler, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. The franchise tag has passed. Nothing really surprising, but a lot of stuff has happened, but there's no cohesive thought besides just early offseason moves. But Austin, I would say the biggest thing to me is the Bears. I thought they were going to sign Trey Smith, but then Trey Smith got tagged, and then you see the Bears trade for Joe Thuney. They also trade for an offensive lineman from the Rams. Kind of that level of investment. I have some theories of they're freeing their offensive line, so I think they might take Genty in the first round. But just a great investment in making moves for their offensive line.
And obviously, Caleb Williams, one of the most sacked QBs in the league last year, so making this trade is good. I am a little bit concerned about what the Chiefs are going to do. Joe Thuney, while he was not a great tackle, that's not his natural position. He was a great guard the past couple of seasons. So I do think that as long as the Bears move him back to guard, which I fully expect them to do, he'll be great in that position. And so I do still wonder what necessarily the Chiefs are going to do on their offensive line, which still obviously has some holes after we saw that in the Super Bowl. But this is a good move for the Bears.
Yeah, and kind of talking about that, I do think Thuney moves to guard. The Bears have invested 2 first-round picks and 2 tackles. I think Darnell Wright from Georgia is one. I can't remember the other one. But speaking to the Chiefs, I did see – so their left tackle this year that they eventually benched, I think was better at guard. And that's kind of the viewpoint. But it is kind of making a problem with that in that middle because that was so strong before with Creed Humphrey, Thuney at left guard, and Trey Smith at right guard. But I think Wanya Morris or maybe DJ Humphreys is going to move to guard because they said that's better. So they could go tackle in this draft. They also might go bargain shopping. I could see them trying to get Tyron Smith, but I'm also surprised that the Chiefs somehow found cap room to tag Trey Smith.
Yeah, that is a little bit impressive. The cap gymnastics there is pretty impressive.
Yeah, and just kind of like we talked about it, Travis Kelce still no official yet, but you were bringing up, and it was a fair point of talking about how are they going to make this all work. Somehow they do with the cap gymnastics. And then other things is you have teams waiving a lot of players. You had Christian Kirk get waived, but then he got traded to the Texans. So I like that. I think that kind of views like Tank Dell is going to be out for the season, because he had surgery again on his ACL. So I kind of view them as bolstering their wide receiving core.
Yeah, I agree. And also, Jonathan Allen getting released for the Commanders, I found a little bit weird. Tyler Lockett released from the Seahawks. There's obviously the DK trade talks. A lot of chaos there. And then Bobby Wagner was re-signed to the Commanders. So there's been a lot of moves so far. I do find it interesting. Tyler Lockett released, DK traded. You just have JSN now. The Seahawks had to make a move for a wide receiver in the draft, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I'm kind of wondering, are they going younger because this is the final year of Geno Smith as quarterback? So are they kind of hoping to go young in the draft, in the following draft? Because it's pretty – JSN is good, but I really liked him with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. But really surprising seeing that as well. But yeah, I do think they go wide receiver in this draft, depending on where they are in the draft. Because they could get Luther Burden because he's falling pretty quickly out of that first round. But we'll have to see. But yeah, very young, and I guess they just don't want to pay DK Metcalf. So they're in a weird position, I would say, because they were still competitive, but now they're making moves that I think hurts them because DK Metcalf is a really good wide receiver. Same thing with Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be a culture shock seeing Tyler Lockett and DK for that matter in a different uniform. What other moves have caught your attention?
So we mentioned Jonathan Allen, but also this is something we talked about last year. Trey Hendrickson requested a trade.
And now I think they're actually going to give it to him. A team that I think would be extremely interested is the Lions. The Lions had a lot of line injuries. And if they could pair Aiden Hutchinson coming back from his broken leg with Trey Hendrickson, that would be a crazy duo. As Trey Hendrickson leads the NFL in sacks over the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, that would make more sense, and I think it'd be a little bit easier to get Trey Hendrickson versus Myles Garrett, who some people have linked to the Lions, kind of just with the cap, with what the Browns are probably going to require or ask for. And then, Jonathan Allen, I feel like Washington had great defensive tackles, and I've criticized Dan Quinn for his run. And so losing a defensive tackle like Jonathan Allen hurts the team, and I'm very curious on what ends up happening. Where does he go? Could that be a Lions move? Just adding to that defensive line.
Yeah.
So then Darius Slay was cut. Man, it's just pretty incredible that the Eagles make some more moves. They re-sign Zach Bond, and then they're just like, well, we're going to get rid of Slay. And they just seem to be one of the best front offices right now.
Yeah, they do. And re-signing Zach Bond fast before he reached free agency was definitely something that was necessary after he just had one of the best surprise defensive seasons in a very long time.
Yeah, and then kind of talking about wide receiver as well, Devontae Adams cut. That just, man, what a bad 2 years for the Jets.
Yeah, I think I knew that was going to happen after the Aaron Rodgers saga came to an end, so I'm not all that surprised.
Where do you think you see Devontae go?
I can see him go wherever Rodgers goes. If they both go to the Giants, and then you have Malik Neighbors, Devontae, and Aaron Rodgers. I don't think Devontae goes somewhere that's testing the water unless it's with Rodgers again, because I do think he really loves playing there with him, I should say.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Kind of looking at wide receiver as well. You have Tyler Lockett. I would say he's different. What teams could possibly go after DK Metcalf?
That's a good question. The one I'm considering as a friend who suggested this earlier is the Chargers. The Chargers need a deep threat wide receiver. They have Quentin Johnson as kind of your wide receiver 3, typical wide receiver 3. You have Lon McConkey, great route runner, but not necessarily a deep threat. And then you add DK to that mix, and that's a great trio of wide receivers for Justin Herbert, who still needs to prove himself in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a good point. I am worried about the Chargers cap situation because they cut Joey Bosa, which I'm surprised. I know they had cap issues, but I thought, and Khalil Mack's a free agent, so that defensive line is going to be very different if you're cutting Joey Bosa as well. But I would say maybe Jaguars for me. I could see DK Metcalf because they had a lot of cost-cutting moves, so they could trade for DK Metcalf and sign him to an extension.
Yeah.
But yeah, any other moves that stand out to you?
Not at the moment.
Yeah, so going to definitely be an exciting NFL offseason, and we'll just have to see what teams do with that, and we'll keep you updated through that. So we appreciate you listening to Outsiders Opinions.